What I stress more than anything else is I do think these medications are the closest thing to the miracle that we've ever had, the miracle weight loss drug that we've all been hoping for that science is going to create. But truthfully, the miracle comes from you being able to adhere to sustainable lifestyle choices. And it's not rocket science. And over time, we're going to help you. I'm going to help you to the best of my ability to implement as many as you possibly can. No one's expecting you to hit the races and get everything in. If you can, freaking great. But that's what those implementation calls after today are going to be all about. That I can't give you medical advice. I can only educate you, and you make your own decision. The goal of the reset is to speed up the metabolism. The way that we do that is by eating more. The medication makes it harder to eat more. So that's, you can draw your own conclusion there. Number two, taking a break from the med is also awesome for its own purpose of resensitizing to the med.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
that's a whole nother benefit, right? So you have two benefits. So if you make your decision, do that. Now
during the reset, do you fast, or is this a time where you would not be? Because I started the fasting.
The quick answer is you can still do your intermittent fasting during a reset.
Okay.
But you do not go beyond intermittent. No long fasting, not until we're done, because that'll keep you from getting to a reset. Am I correct that you've only been on 5 milligrams of Tirzepatide, or no?
Yeah. Yep. That's what it is.
That's good. That's good that you're not on a super high dose. So that's actually great. As far as the decision you make for weaning off, some people just go cold turkey. Some people wean down. It's probably better to wean down and not dramatically drop 5, but let us know what you decide to do with regards to that and how it's going. How you respond is also important too. It looks like you have been on Semaglutide. How long have you been on it?
You know what? I took about a week only, just because I just happened to get some, and I've been watching your videos. And I was, you know what? I tried it. It wasn't too bad. I'm just gonna go ahead and just figure I'd call you guys and just do it right.
Awesome. So really only 1 week, you said, right?
Yeah. Only about a week.
So that doesn't, I'm not too worried about that. Okay, cool. Have you ever counted calories before, or no experience ever doing that?
A long time ago, not recent enough to know what I'm eating.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, that's 3 people in the same boat. That's interesting. I've never had that. Usually everyone's, I've done it before. I hate it, but I've done it. So yeah, same thing for you. We need to establish a baseline. I know it sucks. It's a pain in the ass. To all you guys, by the way, on the welcome forms, there's a video there counting calories, MyFitnessPal. It doesn't matter. I don't care what app you use. Whatever, MyFitnessPal is nice. There's a video there, but you could count your calories, whatever app you want. There's so many out there. Just pick one that's comfortable for you. You don't even have to use an app, although apps do make it easier. You probably, like I said to CV earlier, that you probably, if you haven't been on the med, there's no reason to think that you are in a plateau, because that's, unless you've been starving yourself or trying to eat a lot less. So figure out your calories, text us what you've been averaging, and then we'll confirm yes or no that you need to do a reset. Okay, cool. And finally, Lisa, you've been on Mounjaro and Ozempic for 8 years. Wow. Okay. You're diabetic. That makes sense. Did you start on semaglutide? If it's been 8 years, they probably started you on some of the earlier versions. Yeah.
No, actually, I was one of the first ones in Nebraska to be on Ozempic.
Wow. I was going to say 8 years is a long time. That's basically when it got FDA approved in 2017. That's something there. Okay. So definitely one of the first things I'm thinking is how resistant your body might be, but you are diabetic. Are you on any other diabetic medications, or just the Ozempic?
I'm only on Ozempic right now.
Okay.
I used to be on a ton, but then I went on keto, lost about 100 pounds. Then I just stopped. I tried to walk 3 to 5 miles 4 or 5 times a week, and then I wasn't losing. I wasn't doing anything. So then that's when she switched me over to Mounjaro, and then it was like 6 weeks. I couldn't even get it, the pharmacy. So then I called her and said, hey, I need something. So then she put me back on Ozempic. So I've been back on it maybe 2 months.
Yeah. So did I hear you correctly that you went on keto and lost 100 pounds? Is that right? That's awesome. Good job. That's great. Have you been maintaining keto since then, or?
I have. I ended up getting something in my foot in February, so then I stopped walking.
Okay.
I couldn't because it hurt too much. Recently, they got it out. So actually, last night was my first night of walking again. But in that time, I put 15 pounds back on. So now I'm frustrated. And so that's why I
Gotcha. Okay. And what dose are you on?
1 milligram.
Okay. And then, so let me just add that here. And you said the break off of it after that many years was 6 weeks you were off of it?
She put me on Mounjaro. It was probably, I was on Mounjaro 7-8 months. And then I couldn't get Mounjaro. And then I cried to her and said, hey, I got to do something.
So you never really had a break then, is what you were going back. Okay, gotcha.
I was off Mounjaro for about 6 weeks because I couldn't get it.
Before you got, so you did have a 6-week break.
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, what did you notice? Because I've never had to talk to somebody.
Weight.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, I'm probably up 30 pounds from my 100 that I lost.
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. 6-week break. 6-week break and gained weight. Okay. So I would expect that. I would expect a huge rebound, but the idea is we do this in rounds, right? So the goal is we're trying to get all you guys to be more dependent upon your body and less dependent upon the medications. But depending on your starting point and how insulin resistant you were, and obviously diabetes is late stage insulin resistance, that's going to determine how much work and how many rounds it might take and how bumpy the road's going to be. But it's the same sort of journey all of us are going on, is we're doing the FLOA protocol, and it's making dramatic improvements to our body, to our physiology, specifically insulin resistance, inflammation. You become more fat adapted. And ideally, perfect world, you do the peptides and the various peptides all the way to your weight loss, hit your goal, wean off, slow down, test the water, see how your body feels. And then the whole time we're learning a lot about your body. And it might just be one smooth process and you're good, you're stable. You might need a couple rounds and intermittent use. And there's a lot that we'll figure out with your body as we get to that point, but we're still all doing that same journey. Okay. So Lisa, we're still trying to figure out whether or not reset. When was that 6-week break?
I am on my second pin. So 6 weeks ago.
Okay. So you're good there. You got a good little rest period there. I think that was solid. Do you happen to know how many calories you average per day? Okay. So same thing then. We need to get the baseline. So start counting your calories. Let us know once you figure out like what that average has been. I think it's probably low, but we'll see. Even with a 6-week break, it doesn't sound like you had ravenous hunger come back. Like you didn't feel like it was just extreme. Yeah. And I would imagine because 8 years of being on it, even though you were off for 6 weeks, that to your body's sake, it wasn't like a full break yet. So I bet you 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, you would have had some ravenous hunger start coming back. But obviously that's hard to say. I think same thing. We'll get a baseline once you let us know what your average is. Then shoot us a text and then we'll confirm with you whether or not a reset is warranted. It probably is though. You probably will need to do a reset. Okay, cool. So now let's get into the fasting. And as a reminder, guys, we're going to go over, and you guys hopefully read this on the welcome form, the stages of fasting. As a reminder, if we deem that you do need to do a reset, you cannot go past stage 1. You stay there until we tell you're done, till we tell you you've graduated, and then you can move on to the other stages. If you're not in a reset, then you can go straight into the deep stages as quickly as you want. So stage 1 is that intermittent. That's your daily eating window, first calories in, last calories in, compressing that to 8 hours and doing that every day. That's intermittent. Stage 2 is pushing that to a 24-hour. Once you can do that, and that's usually dinner to dinner, right? Once you can get to the point where you can do that twice in a week, 3 days apart, and you feel good about that, and you're like, great, I'm ready for the next challenge. Then you progress to stage 3 or the flow stage, which is where you are trying to get to that 48. All your guys' bodies are different. We're going to tweak things individually. 48 is just a good number. That seems to be a good range that works for most people, but we'll tweak and modify if we need to for each of you guys individually. But 48 is pretty good. It seems to work for a lot of people, actually. So the big takeaway here is you guys are progressing yourself as quickly or as slowly as you desire. And I really, really want you guys to understand that, because there is no way, I don't have a crystal ball. Each of you guys have your own bodies that are going to give us its own amount of resistance. You guys have your own stress levels. You guys have your own mental stuff going on. And some of you guys are rip the Band-Aid off kind of people. And some of you guys like to pill it off. Right. So because of all that, I like to be the metaphorical spirit that's with you, guiding you, but you're driving the car. This is your journey. And I'm going to be there to course correct and make sure you are on the right path, but we'll go as slow or as fast as you want. Obviously, when you're on the meds, it's especially the Tirzepatide and the AOD, it's going to help tremendously speed things up for you to get to that long fast. Once you do that first, so you fast from dinner to dinner, and then you go to bed that first night. A lot of you have maybe never done that, where you haven't eaten all day since the night before and you go to bed. That's going to feel weird the first time, but you get used to it. It becomes second nature. So once you wake up that first time, now you're in that 34-hour zone. Once you get to that point where I did that 34 hours fast, if you're ravenously hungry that day and you want to eat breakfast and start, that's totally fine, right? Because you progress yourself. Now it's a one time per week. It's no longer twice. And now you're just trying to increase that fast to 48 at however many weeks it takes. Some people can go to 48 right away. Some people maybe need 2 or 3 more weeks to get there.
So when you start the fast, you are doing it twice, but then you're talking about now after we make it past the second one and we're trying to just do one long.
Correct. So the goal is to get past stage 2 where you're doing 2 24s. You get past that. The goal is to get to stage 3 where you're doing 1 long per week. And the long, you're trying to get it to be 48. But even if it's not, say it's 36, that's still 1 time per week.
And will your shot still happen during that same time frame like we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, exactly. At the beginning of that fast day, we talked about when you wake up, boom, you take your shot, start your fast, and boom, there's your week.
Okay.
So it's progression, right? So 2 to 4 weeks to get to that is pretty reasonable. Some people dive right in and say, I'm going to try 48 tomorrow. I've had people like that, and there's no harm for that. You might get really tired. You likely won't be able to do it your first time, but there's nothing wrong with trying as long as you understand that, right?
So it doesn't really matter how long, like you're trying to incrementally work up to that.
Yeah. And 2 things are happening. You are physiologically reacting, but you're also psychologically reacting too. It's so fascinating. You guys are going to see it really is 2 different things. Your body is adapting and you are like just getting accustomed to it. If you've never done this before, most of you haven't. There's a bit of a psychological kind of, wow, I can go all day without eating. This is crazy. You might even feel like this is wrong, but you do have to trust in the process. Hopefully you're here and you trust that process.
I've done intermittent, but I've never tried to do anything longer than that.
Totally. And like I said, that's why you progress yourself at the rate. Nobody should be pushing themselves through suffering zones. You do want to push yourself though, as much as you comfortably want to push yourself, right? Maybe you don't want to push yourself that hard because your life is really stressful right now and you're doing the best you can and you want to go slow and steady, right? That's okay too, as long as you're making progress. The rules are simple. And I'm not the first person to say this. We got to reduce our consumption of processed foods. Processed foods are killing you. They are. It's crazy when you think about it. Companies and restaurants, their business depends on you coming back and getting you addicted. And it's chemicals that they do that with to make it taste better. And it's low cost, their goal is make it taste better and make it cheaper. And the only way you do that is with science and chemicals and yada, yada, yada. So you get the point. Now, do I think we got to be unrealistic and go 100%? No, I also think that's not sustainable. So the 90-10 rule is really what I put as a benchmark where it's like, hey, let's get serious here, but let's also be realistic. 10% of your meals, go for it, have some fun, reward yourself, whatever that might look like. If you have some specific autoimmune diseases and you're not, the scale's not budging, because sometimes people do have autoimmune diseases that they can't afford 10% because one whiff of gluten screws them up. That's unfortunate, but if that's the case, then we will tailor the program to you. But we're just going to assume the body's going to roll. Things are going to be easy peasy. You know what I mean? We'll make it harder if we need to. when you hear me talk about paleo Mediterranean, those are just great examples of the anti-processed food diet, which is what we're talking about. But there may be some foreign foods that you guys eat, and as long as it's not processed, I'm happy with it. When budgeting for organic, high quality organic produce, high quality meats, the free range, the grass finished, that's all going to make a difference too as well.